Welcome back to the second episode of the Self Love Uncensored Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Vanessa McWilliams.
And I'm Amanda Wozny.
And we are self-proclaimed experts in all things self-love.
Here you'll find uncensored discussions about life, living unapologetically, and becoming our best selves.
Over the next two episodes, we are going to cover our stories, who we are, what mountains we've conquered, why we do what we do, and why we are self-proclaimed experts in all things self-love. Welcome back, Amanda.
Yay! Welcome back to you too, Vanessa.
How are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Good.
Are you feeling so good after BodCon yesterday?
Oh, my heart. Oh, so good. My heart is on fire again.
Yeah.
So Amanda and I yesterday, I had won tickets a couple days ago to an event called BodCon, and it's a virtual event all about body positivity, talking about breaking down body shame and body stereotypes. And it was such a great day.
Yeah, it was.
Such a great day.
It was.
I have to say thank you to all the speakers who put their, took their time, did the things, had really hard conversations.
And the event was flawless. They did it was so cool how it was set up with those extra stages, and you could kind of go where you wanted to go, and
it felt like there.
It kind of did. It just, you didn't have to get up and walk into a different room. You're just click, click. Okay, now I'm watching this speaker. No, not really a fan of this one. Click, click.
It was really fun. Really was very well put on. I really enjoyed it. And it was really good to listen in on other people that are also on this journey and get their perspective on things, because I feel like sometimes when we are on our own journeys, you can feel really isolated and kind of lonely. And it was really interesting to hear that other people are also going through kind of the same struggles and stuff that I think you and I both still go through. Because self-love isn't something that's like a destination and all of a sudden everything is better. It still comes along with lots of struggles and stuff, right? So I think it was really fascinating to listen in on some really vulnerable conversations about hard things. And it just cemented in my mind, this is what I meant to do, is even with this podcast, this is our next step, and I'm so excited.
Yay.
So with this podcast, Amanda and I wanted to take some time to really let you guys kind of in on the scoop about us, I guess you could say. So over the next two episodes, we're going to be interviewing each other so that you can kind of get to know us. And today we're going to interview Amanda. Woo-hoo. So do you have anything first you want to say before we dive right in?
We'll cover that at the end if there's anything missing or whatever.
Perfect. And for the listeners, if you have anything specific that you'd like to know, if you have questions for us, you can always feel free to leave us comments on our review page or find us on social media. And we can definitely, if there's something that you want to know about us, address it on a future podcast, because we definitely want you guys to feel like you're in on the conversation as well. So please feel free to drop any questions if we don't cover anything.
Or shoot us an email, selfloveuncensored@gmail.com.
That too.
Yes.
One-way ticket straight to our self-love inbox. So you could definitely do that too. So let's get started. Amanda. Dun, dun, dun. So excited to hear some of these answers. So let's kick it off really simply. Who are you? Who is Amanda Wozny?
Okay, well, let's go basic. I am a mother and a wife. I have 3 young boys. They're 5, 6, and 10. I guess they're not even that young anymore. 3 boys. I've been married for, what year is it now? 2021, 9 years now. I can't believe it's 2021. That's ridiculous. Right? Yes. So mother, wife, as far as work goes, I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm also a mortgage broker, do kind of random things. And then I'm also a master trainer, which basically means, in layman's terms, like a life coach, motivational speaker, all that kind of jazz. I'm also currently working on a nutrition certification to go with my personal training. So I can help people with both their fitness and their food, and obviously for myself as well. So yeah, that's kind of who I am, wrapped up in a nutshell.
That's amazing. I love it. Your boys are so cute. You guys make cute kids.
Thanks.
110%.
Yeah.
So when you think about your kind of everything that's happened in your life, when did your self-love journey really start? Did you have an aha moment that kicked it off, or was there something specific that you remember, or has it just been like something gradual that's come about as you've gotten older?
So I do remember when it started this last time, only because it's finally stuck. I'm really quickly approaching April 10th will be my 3-year anniversary of like going to the gym consistently, which is where I chose this time, rather than focusing on the food, which is my struggle. I chose to focus on the gym and build like one habit at a time. And once I had that really down, then to start working on other things. So yeah, that happened April 10th, 2018. And it's kind of funny how it happened. So at the time, we didn't have a ton of money to be spending on a gym membership. And I go to a CrossFit gym. And if you know anything about CrossFit, you know it's really fucking expensive.
Yes.
So it's like $225 a month. It's not like Planet Fitness where it's, 10 cents down and $9.99 or whatever.
Yes.
So the only way to get it cheaper is to get a contract. And I also thought to myself, if I sign a contract, this is like reverse psychology to force myself into going, because I have to pay for it whether I go or not. Like I'm financially obligated, right? So I took the paperwork home. I'd stopped in. I'd gone a few times over the years. So the first time I actually went there was 2012. I did a couple intro classes. It's funny because the first intro class I did, I can't remember exactly what the workout was, but it was all stuff I could do, even as a, overweight person. And I absolutely like crushed it. I'm super competitive. So I wanted to try and beat everybody.
You're not competitive at all.
No, not at all. I compete with myself. What are you talking about? So anyways, I finished everything, come running back in. I think it was the second person back. I was so proud of myself. And the coach was like, we're not done. There's 2 more rounds. And I was like, fuck, are you kidding me? Like I just sold my soul to the devil on the first one. And then, yeah, it was terrible. And then it ended with a 3K run. And I walked, and I think I got back like 40 minutes after the class was done. But the cool thing about CrossFit is that it's very community oriented. So I wasn't coming back to nobody there. The whole class and the trainers were all still there. And it was like high fives all around. Good job. Like, it's really cool. Like
that's amazing.
Yeah, it makes me emotional to even think about it. So that's part of what really stuck for me. So anyways, did a few classes there. A couple years later, did a few classes. I think it was back in about 2015. I went in once and we did some gymnastics work for the first class back, and I ended up ripping like a huge hole in my hand on the rings. It was terrible. Now I can just train through it. It doesn't bother me. But then I was like, oh my God, now I have to heal and I can't go anymore. Right. So then I didn't go back. So fast forward 2018, I decided to like trick myself into sticking with it. So I took the paperwork home and I was like, okay, a year is really long to commit to. And the penalty, I think, was like 3 months or something like that. So it would have been like $675 or whatever to cancel it. Right. So it's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So the 6-month one, I think, was 1 month. 1 month cancellation, something like that. It's irrelevant. But so I took it home and I hummed and hawed and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. 6-month contract, signed it. I took it like straight in as soon as I decided. So I had no time to change my mind. And I haven't looked back. So January 3rd was my 1000th day of going to the gym. So that was kind of fun to celebrate.
Amazing.
Yeah. And
That's
I've done somewhere in the neighborhood of, it's over 900 workouts in that amount of time. So it's been a lot of work. So yeah, it wasn't really an aha moment. It was like I'm sick and fucking tired of feeling trapped in my body and feeling like shit and looking like shit. And I just, I wanted to feel confident and happy. And like I was working towards something, like I needed a goal and a direction. And I feel like as a mom with young kids, like I needed something for me that was away from, it sounds bad, but away from the kids, away from my husband, that was just me. So something that I super believe in is being really selfish with your self-care. And I mean that in a good way. Selfish doesn't need to have a negative connotation. Like you need to stand up for what you need, and you need to just lay down the law and be like, listen, this is my thing, whatever it is. I don't care if it's a walk, CrossFit, yoga, like whatever, some form of self-care, and you fucking do it no matter what. And I did that. And like every day when he'd get home from work, I'm like, okay, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to do my class. And I made some amazing friends and fell in love with the community and found out that I'm really fucking strong. And I
Just a
absolutely
little
love
bit.
it. Yeah, just a little bit.
You're really strong.
Yeah. So I totally like, once I realized that, like, that's where my confidence grew like crazy. Like I had found the fitness thing for me that was like my home. Like I felt like I belong there. Right. So yeah, that's where it started after many years of trial and error and stupid crash diets that didn't work and paying for random exercise plans that I never stuck with and all that crap. Like I just picked one habit and I just happened to find the one that I absolutely love and I happen to be really good at.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I can super connect with like finding something that you actually enjoy doing, because I was much the same when my kids were little and going to the gym and signing up for gym membership, that I was like, this is what we're supposed to do. And then I never went back because the idea of the gym scared the hell out of me. Like, I didn't know how to use any of the equipment and stuff, right? And
Yeah.
so thinking about going to the gym and then asking for help was too vulnerable for me, because I was like, I should know how to do this for some stupid reason, even though I'd never stepped foot in a gym before. Like,
Right. Yeah.
right? So I just never went, and I basically paid them a monthly fee to keep my name on the computer, which made me feel good in some sense because I
Yeah.
belonged to a gym, but I just never went. But
Well,
that's the
and the
thing, is
funny thing
finding
is,
something.
yeah, the funny thing is that, I mean, that's like the commercial gym, that's how they operate. They want people to sign up and they want them to never come in the door.
Yeah.
Whereas a CrossFit gym needs people to sign up and they want you to be there 4, 5, 6, they want you to come back. Right. And it's all taught. So I developed a connection really early on to the coach of the class that I attended. And I think that really made a huge difference, like having a friend and a safe person there, and somebody that was willing to push me and could see my potential.
Yeah.
And yeah, it made a huge difference. So
Well, and seeing a familiar face every day, I think would help just those early days get you to come back in again.
yeah.
Because yeah, I remember seeing a same face before, but that's amazing. You
Yeah.
are, yeah. If you haven't already checked out Amanda on Instagram to see like her lifting stuff, it's incredible, my friends.
Yeah. It's pretty much just a running feed of fitness videos. I'm not gonna lie.
But like, I told Amanda the one time, I think I texted you at like 8 o'clock in the morning after I'd done my morning workout, and I'm talking about like doing bicep curls with like 10-pound weights, and or even 8-pound weights. I haven't got to tens yet. And
Yeah.
I super didn't want to do it. And then you popped in my mind and I was like, fuck, I have no excuse. Amanda's like squatting 600 pounds and I'm bitching about 8-pound bicep curls. Like, just do it, Vanessa. So
that's right.
Push you inspire more than, you inspire more people than you give yourself credit for, than because it's when you see someone doing the hard things, it's it's so easy to talk yourself out of wanting to do it in the moment, but then when you surround yourself with people who have like-minded goals, it just makes it easier to hold yourself accountable, right? So you inspire more people than absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
So what does self-love mean to you? Like, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does self-love actually mean to you? What's your kind of definition of it?
Self-love, I think, is a combination of accepting your body wherever you're at in your life and on your journey, like however that looks, however that feels. It doesn't mean that you have to love it, but like it's what you have. So come to terms with it, meet it where it's at. And then I think the other side of it is that self-love has to incorporate some sort of self-care routine too. Like, it's totally okay to love your body if you're, overweight, underweight, whatever. We all have things we're unhappy with, but you also need to be actively pursuing a healthier, better, stronger, happier version of yourself. And that's like, it's different ways. For me, it's CrossFit and lifting heavy weights. For other people, it might be walking the dogs for half an hour a day. Like, it doesn't need to be huge things. But I think self-love needs to be a combination of accepting your body where it's at and then still working towards being the best version of yourself. And there is no end to that journey. Like, as you get better, you'll just find ways to become better. You get stronger, you want to lift more. You run really far, you want to run further. Like, whatever the end goal is for you, it's going to constantly evolve as you reach new levels in your life. So it's a journey and a process. And yeah, I think it involves those two things.
Can I just like copy and paste what you just said and put it on for mine tomorrow?
Right.
So good. And that's what it is. We can sometimes get stuck. Like you and me were talking about this from what we had listened to yesterday, is a couple of the speakers had put it so nicely that self-love isn't just saying like, this is who I am, whatever,
Yeah.
like, and not taking care of yourself, right? Like self-love does have to have that part of it,
Yeah.
where you do have the acceptance for where you are in your journey right now. And then, but also on top of it, being actively working towards, and what your body looks like as a result, it's not a goal of any kind, but like
Yeah.
still moving your body and still choosing healthy choices. Most of the time we're
Yeah.
all, I mean, I just got my period today. I'm guaranteeing I'm falling probably face first into a tub of ice cream tonight, like guaranteed.
Yep.
But that's the thing, is like the balance and giving yourself enough room to be able to be human, but
Yeah.
still actively ensuring that you're taking care of the vessel that you're given, right? Because
Yeah.
if we don't take care of it, it's not going to be here for very long.
Well, it's not going
So,
to be able
and
to
doing
take
what,
care of us.
and that's it. And doing
Yeah.
what you can to take care of it in the capacity that you have.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So,
just it. Right. Like, and
yeah.
that's getting a little sport specific, but that's something that I really love about what I've found in CrossFit is that it's literally adaptable. There is people who are missing body limbs that can do this. Like fitness and health and self-love and self-care can meet you where you're at. If you are stuck in a bed and you're 600 pounds, I'm not telling you need to get off your arse and go for a run for a 10K. That's not realistic.
Not going to happen.
But you can totally find people and programs that will meet you where you're at and help you to improve your life. Like there's nobody that is too far gone to start self-love and self-care.
Absolutely. Ditto. I agree.
Yeah.
I think, I think our interview in episodes are going to end up just being like a mesh of the two of us.
Yeah.
I'm just agreeing with everything.
Yeah. What she said yesterday. Next.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So funny. So what are your self-care routines? Like, what is your self-care that you, Amanda, do to ensure that you are taken care of, that you've put your oxygen mask on in order to like take care of your family, in order to be able to do what you do during the day? What's your self-care routine?
For me, my number one self-care routine is my fitness, my training. So obviously we're still in the middle of a pandemic right now. And gyms are closed here still, but I'm lucky to have a really good setup at home. So my fitness it's my number one priority. If I have, even on rest days when I'm supposed to not be doing it, or if I have a super busy day and I just can't get to it for whatever reason, I have a huge noticeable difference in my attitude, my capability to deal with things, my emotions, my energy, like all of it's affected. And luckily for me, like I recuperate pretty well from exercise. So for the most part, like I could do it 7 days a week. That's maintainable for me. And the other part of it, which is something that I've struggled with for my whole life, and probably will for the rest of my life, is what goes in my mouth is way more difficult for me than the training is now. So like I said before, the training is the number one thing. Like that's the habit I wanted to lay down first because I knew how hard food was for me to fix. And I ebb and flow with it. I go through stages where I do super well. And then you go through stages of life, like what happened in March 2020 when the world shut down and gyms closed and you couldn't find yeast and bread and toilet paper. So like we're baking sourdough and eating so much food and stuck in the house. And like I'll be honest, I undid a bunch of the progress that I made last year as far as my nutrition and my like one of my big goals is to change my body composition because I want to be able to compete in my sport. And I need to be smaller to do that. It's not like a surface level vanity goal for me to have a six pack or anything like that. But I know that I need to be a smaller human for what I want to do. I undid a lot of that work because I let some of those self-care routines go out the window. I kept training. I did also hurt myself in the midst of that. I got a really bad injury that set me back a long ways. I couldn't lift anything. It was terrible. And I think that probably led more to the food problems than anything because I was super depressed. Like, go look at my Instagram. You'll see that lifting heavy shit is like, that's me. If you could identify me with one thing, it would be a really heavy barbell. And when I couldn't even pick up a barbell with no weights on it, like it crushed my ego. So yeah, those two things are the biggest things. Drinking water is important. I feel like reading is important. I mean, I drink water every day. I'm not going to say I don't do that every day, but there's a list of self-care routine things that are ideal for me. Do I get them all done every single day? Hell no. Life is busy. I have 3 kids, right? Like we're running businesses, we're starting podcasts, we're sometimes just chilling on the couch trying to survive another pandemic day. And that's just the way it is. But self-care routines for me are fitness and food foremost. Fitness number 1, food second. Drinking water kind of, I guess, would just go with the food. Obviously, that's part of my recovery. And then I think probably the next most important one for me is sleep. I love sleep. I love sleep.
Too.
And after having children for however many years now, right? Like you think about when you're pregnant and when the sleep starts to get interrupted, and like it's been like 11 years of interrupted sleep. Like my kids finally, probably within the last year, finally consistently sleep through and don't wake me up except for here and there, right? Just randoms. And that's huge. Like sleep regulates so much in your body that I think it's massively underestimated, especially for mothers.
100%.
Like when they say when the baby takes a nap, you need to sleep and you feel like a rock star and you're going to start baking, go get in bed and sleep. Like do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So I think those are my primary. I think that pretty much covers everything that's super important to me.
Amazing. And it's so true. I think I'm the same way with sleep. Like I remember the days of my kids being really little, and I look back now and someone had said to me at one point, like the days are long, but the years are fast or short or something.
Yeah.
And my boys are older, and man, it's so true. And I don't wish the time away. At the time I did. And I regret that a little bit, but sleep, it's so important. I think looking back, I feel the same way, that like I shoulda, coulda, woulda slept when the baby was sleeping, but I was like, there's dishes in the sink and I need to start making dinner, and all the things that I think as women we're told we need to do and be able to handle. And it's a lot to handle.
Oh my God.
Taking
Yes.
care of a tiny human who only really relies on you for a certain amount of time, and to make it look effortless and flawless, I think as women is just setting ourselves up for failure. And it is very hard to ask for help for many people.
I feel like the first thing that does slip is your self-care. Like you're so 100%. Busy. Obviously you have to take care of your children. If you're a mother, obviously that's like your number 1 goal. But other than that, like your husband can have cereal for supper. Like you don't need to put a roast and potatoes and stuff on the table 7 days a week. Like don't feel like you have to be a superhero. So go to bed early. If the baby falls asleep early, go to bed. Or if you need a freaking break, like here, husband, chill with the baby and I'm going to go for a walk or something, right? Like I feel like as women and as mothers, we just, and I don't even know that it's always put on us. We just inherently take it on because it's what we've been conditioned. It's what we've seen. It's what our moms did, our grandmas did, right? Like cook, clean, take care of everything. And it's just so much.
And
we
make
need
it
to
look
just
effortless.
Yeah. And
after your body's,
you do it.
After your body's gone through creating and having a child, like it's really crazy to think of like what we put on ourselves to expect from ourselves. And I think it does leak in like after you have children. And I mean, we've probably got listeners who are like, what the hell? I've never had a baby. Like, I don't know. Now you're scaring me. Like it's the most amazing thing in the world.
But it's challenging.
It is. And I think it's like anything in life, challenges are always going to be there. And it's always try and find the hidden blessings within the challenges, but it's
and recognize that you're not alone. Like we talked about that, I think last week, about how as moms, like there's so many struggles and so many feelings and so many emotions, and they're normal. And you would be shocked if people actually talked about how many people feel the same things about about their babies, about their bodies, about like postpartum depression, all that kind of stuff. Like you are not alone. But the best thing you can do, which is why we're doing this podcast, is love yourself and take care of yourself. Like have enough respect for yourself to show up and ask for help.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, is asking for help.
Yeah.
Ask for help if you need it. And even if you're just like, I don't know if I need it, but I just need it, just ask for help. 110%. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So this one's gonna hit you a little hard. Amanda Wozny, what has been your biggest failure and what have you learned from it?
It's funny that I wrote most of these questions and I actually never even contemplated my answer to this one. I think I think I have an answer for it.
Okay.
I think my biggest failure, and I don't know, in thinking out loud here, I don't even know so much that it's a failure, but I think like accepting an identity that was kind of put on me when I was younger. And it comes back to like, I struggle with my body size and I still do. And like I said before, with food, I probably will forever. Right. But I really think that at some point in time, I got this thought put in my brain, and I honestly don't know where it came from. I cannot remember, but I remember as a very young person just thinking I was destined to be overweight for my whole life, that I was big boned. How many fucking times have we heard that? Nobody's bones are any bigger than anybody else's bones. Like, fuck
that. Yeah.
If you say that, you need to shut up. Like, sit down and shut up and don't ever say it again, unless you're saying it in the context that I am right now, that it is not true.
It's hurtful.
Yes.
It's
like
hurtful.
Yes, everybody's body structure is different, but that doesn't mean that your bones are going to make you fat for your whole life.
No.
Like, it's just not. And I think that, like, I'm trying to think back to, like, I know I was in like the single digits for ages when I had that identity. So like I was very young. And at that age, you're so impressionable that like once something comes into your mind from wherever it came from, it must be trustworthy because I'm a child, and it obviously would have come from somebody older than me. And I just kind of attached my self-worth and my space in the world to the fact that that's just how it was going to be. And that is so not true.
No.
Like, I can look at my body now and see the changes that I've made from where I started and the weight I've lost, and realized with hard work and some sacrifice as far as my food and everything, like where my body could be. And I'm like, God damn, like I was so wrong for so many years. And I didn't figure that out until I was 33 years old. Like, I feel like that's what pisses me off, because I wasted so much time, right? Like I still obviously made use of that time in my life in other aspects. I had children and everything. I don't mean a waste in that sense. I just mean a waste in, I felt like the body that I wanted or felt like would be good for me was unattainable, and I was wrong. Yes. And I think it was a failure, probably not one that I maybe could have dealt with in any other way, because I know that that seed was planted from the outside. But yeah, I feel like I wasted a lot of time. And from that, I've learned that I am wrong, and that I can have whatever body I want, depending on the work that I want to put in. And I want to be able to spread that message to other women. Like, no, you don't need to want the same body that I want. You don't even necessarily need to want to be smaller. I mean, we could have listeners that are dealing with anorexia and bulimia and need to have a bigger body, right? Like, everybody has different goals. But just know that whatever you identify as like your happiest looking self is within your grasp if you're willing to work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there again, like we circle right back to, like, even if your body doesn't change, it's okay.
Yep.
Right. Like, and yeah, I think you nailed it. Like, just being so impressionable at such young ages. I know we talked about before we hit record today that, you know, we're one and the same. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that, is that the messaging that that we hear from when we're younger is that most of it is from commercials and ads on TV and all the things, but it's also from the people that are raising us that we trust.
Yeah.
And it's really just trying now to focus on the language we use around our own children and our
Yeah.
own people around us that are smaller, because it does just take one comment.
Yeah.
It can come down to just one comment that sticks with somebody for the rest
And
of their life.
I think it's probably important to clarify that it's not like I'm not trying to place judgment on wherever it came from, whether it came from like parents, family, friends, or whatever. Like, I realize that as adults, and now that I am an adult with children, and we talked about this last week.
Yeah. Are you pregnant?
No, that's not what I meant, with children. But like that, you know, that thing that was floating around Facebook where you don't realize as a child that you're watching your own parents grow up, right? Like, they were just doing the best with what they had and how they were raised and how they were conditioned to parent. And yeah, like it's no judgment. Like, I don't think anybody ever intentionally means to plant those kind of seeds in anybody's head, aside from the advertising companies.
Yes.
Obviously, 100%. They have a very specific narrative. Yeah. But I mean, even as a parent now, like, you try to be cognizant of the things that you're saying to your child, but those things will still slip back out, right? Like, even something as simple as saying like, oh, you look so handsome today. Well, who cares what they look like, right? Mm-hmm. Like, did you work hard? Were you kind to people? Like, those things matter. So
yes. Yeah. Oh, you just like had me like enthralled. I haven't looked at my next question. I love it. And that's just the thing, is I think you nailed it too, is it's so important to remember that the people who raise us and the people who have influence on us, especially as young people, are doing the best they can, or did the best they could with what they had experienced themselves.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it, is when you can come at that from a place of compassion for what that person's capacity and capability were to raise another human. Yeah. That really can help change that story for yourself as well, whatever that looks like for you, because I know lots of people we'll have listeners who've gone through childhoods that are like great and they don't remember anything happening. And, we're going to have people who listen and have had horrific childhoods. And, we're not all the same in that aspect. And I know for myself, one of the things that, freed me from everything that happened to me when I was younger is just that the people who raised me did the best they could with what they had and what they knew. And when I personally looked back at how my parents were raised, I know for a fact with my grandparents that, that whole language came down from generations above my parents. So when I was able to look at that and give, my mom and my dad major compassion, in the sense of they did the best they could with what they had, because those were what they, what I struggled with is also what they struggled with and their parents struggled with. And it helps a little bit to be able to understand the narrative and make a change, right? Like, I'm very cognizant now that I want to make a change for my children, and I want to break that cycle of having to look a certain way to be accepted in the world. Yeah. So
I learned that a few years ago at a program that I went to, and it really helped change how I look at everybody now.
Yes.
But more specifically, my parents, was that when you see an adult on the outside, but the way that most of us behave and what's conditioned us is the hurt child inside.
Yes.
So when you grow up and you're parenting, you're still parenting from a place of where you were hurt as a child. And that changes for everybody. Some people had things that weren't too bad, but I mean, in comparison to other things, right? Like abuse and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't change their experience. And their experience, that really significantly changed the trajectory of their life. And it's really hard work to deal with that. And it's not something that's ever going to go away. So I really like that perspective of looking at people, like, especially when they hurt you, and realizing that they are still a hurt child trapped in an adult body, and they're still dealing from that emotional space.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a good conversation.
Yes.
So we're going to switch gears. What is your greatest success? What has been your greatest success in life? Amanda Wozny. I love your name.
I think the obvious answer is to say, like, children, right? Like, I hope that my children grow up into the most incredible humans that help change the world and make it a a better place. But for me as an individual, as my own person, independent from my children, so that I don't just give an easy answer, I think my greatest success is going back to the self-love and just learning to accept who I was and where I was at, and giving myself the grace to just be like, okay, like this is where we are. We know where we want to go. Now let's get to work.
Mhm.
Like, just, I think that that's like the most important first step. And I think the fact that I was brave enough to recognize it and take it has put me on an incredible path that changes since I made that decision in my life. Like financially, relationships, everything has significantly improved. You start to get into that flow state of life that we like to talk about. Not that I still haven't had struggles, that comes, but yeah, I think just having that grace and that acceptance to recognize where I was huge for me, especially as somebody that struggled with my body and my image for so long.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm looking at the next questions and I'm struggling with what one I want to hit you with next. They're so good. I wish we had time to do all of them. Honestly, these are such good questions.
Well, we have lots of episodes coming, so I'm sure we'll cover them.
We do. What? Where do we want to go next? Ooh, quick and simple, nice and dirty. What's your why? Why do you do the things you do, Amanda? What motivates you? What keeps you going on like the really hard days when you just want to give up and quit?
Well, I think that's going to circle back to what we just talked about with that inner child. Like, I really think, I'll tell a story quickly. So
yes.
Last year, because this was kind of an aha moment that was already in my journey. Last year in January, I finished a program called 75 Hard. And so if you haven't heard of it, it's a 75-day program. You have to do 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes. One has to be outside regardless of the weather, which when I finished, it was like minus 50-ish. It was really fucking cold.
You should look at her Instagram account because there's pictures of her like icicles all over her face.
I had very fancy eyelashes. And I was totally fine, so nobody judged me. I was warm. But anyway, so yeah, 2 45 minutes workouts, drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages of like self-development nonfiction kind of book, follow a diet, which doesn't mean diet in the negative sense. It just means pick a healthy way to eat and not a bunch of junk, which is up to your discretion. Like diet literally means the things that go into your mouth. It doesn't mean restriction and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, follow a diet, no alcohol, and no cheating, and a progress picture every single day. So it was day 72. I remember it very clearly. It was the coldest day. And I felt like, so as you go through this program, there'll be different things that challenge you. Like, it's almost like the universe is like, oh, you're doing this really hard thing. I'm gonna see if I can knock you off.
And just to put this into context, if you wake up one morning and you forgot to do one of these things the day before, you have to start again at day 1. It doesn't matter if you're on day 74 or day 3, you have to start again.
Right? Yes.
It's a huge integrity challenge.
Yes, it is. So yeah, day 72, and I was walking, and it was the coldest day. It was, I did a story on it and I converted it because I know most people are in Fahrenheit. I think it was minus 61.6 degrees Fahrenheit with the wind chill. It was about minus 51 Celsius. So yeah, it was really fucking cold.
Yeah.
And I would always go for my walks in the evening. That's like my best time to decompress. And I also find that cold air really helps me sleep. So anyways, that night, it needed to be a little bit more than just like 2 pairs of leggings. So I broke out the industrial oil field coveralls that were my husband's, that are like 7 meters too long. So I had them all rolled up, and they were so hard to walk in because they're so heavy. And like the cuffs were really big. So like my feet were knocking together, and the snow was deep, and like, it was terrible, but
I'm picturing
it wasn't
Gumby.
terrible, but yeah, it was I was sweating I'm not even joking. It was minus 61
Oh.
and I was sweating because it was like, it's so much gear to move. Like I shit you not, Vanessa, it was probably 15 pounds worth of gear by the time I had everything on. So I'm basically going for like a weighted walk. And for whatever reason, like I normally walk the same path. We've got a lot of walking trails along here. So I kind of go down this alley and then up along the train tracks. And I know how far I have to go to hit like 22 and a half minutes. And then I come back. And I listen to podcasts and stuff the whole time. So I've got stuff going on. But for whatever reason, I chose a different path that night. And it's like the dead of winter. So it's snowy. And I come around the corner and I can't remember exactly what the sign said. I have a picture of it. I stopped and took a picture, but I turned this corner and there was a sign, had something to do with like something that was changing ahead. And there was like, the path went from like totally snowy to like totally cleared. Somebody took really good care of their sidewalks. I really appreciate people that do that. If you don't shovel your sidewalks, go do it.
Please.
Yes. Not even please, just do it. If you bought a house that has a sidewalk in front of it, you have to shovel it. But anyways, I just stopped and looked and like, I felt like something in that moment, just I totally had an epiphany where I was like, I could see like as if I was crossing like where I had been into where I was going. Oh my God, I can feel emotion trying to come out.
Let it flow.
I stopped and took a picture and I remember making a post somewhere about it. I think it's in the Wellness Warriors thing. I'll have to go back and look. I need to save it. And basically, like, I felt like as I crossed that difference in path, it sounds so silly, but I felt like I was walking away from who I had always thought I was. And I was walking into the woman I had always wanted to be.
Let's just give that a moment to land. So good.
It was
like crossing the threshold.
Yeah. Like,
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And just like, that integrity of not letting anything stop me, because I mean, let's be honest, most people when it's that kind of temperature outside would have been like, well, fuck, like, I'm just going to say I did it. I didn't. I didn't just say I did it. I did it. I have a photo to freaking prove it.
You have a lot of photos.
Yeah. And yeah, it was a really, really freaking cool moment to have that recognition, and in like a visual way. Like I have to find the picture now. It's going to drive me nuts. I can't remember what was on the sign, but it was just, I just turned the corner and I was like it took my breath away and I almost started crying, and I was like, fuck, you cannot cry. Your eyeballs are going to freeze open or shut. Like, you can't, you have to like pull your pants up. Let's keep walking, like take a picture and we'll have the moment later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like literally my eyeballs would have frozen. But it was, that's what I felt like. I felt like I was walking out of that identity that I talked about earlier, that I was always trapped inside of, because I made massive, massive progress on that program. Like I said before, one of my goals is to get smaller. So weight loss is relevant to me. I recognize it's not to everybody, but I lost like almost 30 pounds in that 75 days. Like my life changed in such a huge way. And that moment on day 72 was when I realized that it had happened.
Yes. Well, and I don't even know what to say. Like I'm trying to like picture it, and it's like, I've had those moments as well in life where you just have that moment and you're like, oh my God, this is the next level. Like, here we go. Yeah. I'm shedding my skin almost. It's like peeling away an onion, right? Like, I'm letting go of a little more piece of armor that has kept me in this place, this comfort zone. And here I'm leveling up. Like, that's so amazing. And 75 Hard is a hard program.
Yeah.
And it's not a diet program. Like, I just want to say that right now.
No, it has
a diet
such
program.
a negative rap for that. And I really think that that's just rooted in the negative connotation of the word diet, because it's so widely used as like a restriction kind of thing. But like, if you go to the dictionary online, because nobody has a real dictionary anymore, and look up diet, like it's literally the food that goes in your mouth. So it's,
And 75 Hard is, it's weight loss, of course, because you're changing, you're moving your body more. You're
For bigger
putting
people, because
healthier.
there are
Yeah.
people who are completely fit that do it and aren't going to
Yeah.
see any difference in body composition. They're going to see it
Totally.
like it's a mental toughness program, right?
It is totally a mental toughness. It's a complete integrity challenge. You say
Yep.
you're going to do it, you keep your word to yourself, and I'll tell you right now, I've tried 75 hard 3 times and I failed 3 times
Yeah,
because
it's hard.
I woke up one morning and forgot to take a progress picture. So I started again.
Yeah.
And then fell out of my husband's truck on a big thing of ice, and like really badly, almost to the point where I cracked my ribs, hit his side running boards on the fall down out of his truck on ice, and
Yeah.
you know, couldn't move. It hurt to breathe. And the third time I got salmonella poisoning not long ago and was in the hospital with explosive diarrhea. So like, there was no way in hell I was leaving my house for a 45-minute workout.
No.
So I just, but that's it. You give yourself grace, right? But
yeah,
the people who try, it's like, it's incredible to see what you learn about yourself when you do choose to do the hard thing for yourself, and you go through, and you even if you fail, like it's such a thing to accomplish. Even if you fail, like just to try,
you still learn about yourself.
100%. Like it's a really hard program, but if anybody's interested in doing it, look it up. You just have to Google 75 hard, and it's something that you don't go blast on Facebook and say, guess what I'm doing. You just decide to do it for you. You keep it quiet, and you just do the thing, and give yourself massive grace as you're going through, because it's hard.
I did post about it pretty much every day, but I also like one of my goals is definitely to help inspire others as I go throughout my journey. And I sometimes struggle with saying that because I feel like it's like conceited to feel that way, but I really think it's important for people to see, especially women, mothers, overweight women, people who have struggled with their weight and stuff, to see that you're never too far gone, and to be able to see somebody else doing it. So I did post about it, and like it's been really cool because I know a ton of people that have seen me do it and go on to do it or try it, and watch their journey and see how they grow and learn and change their lives because of it. So I didn't create the program. Obviously, it's an amazing program. I'm just an advocate for it because I know what it did for me. So
well, I think too, because of the things that we do, just the two of us, I know you as well, I can't speak for you, but just being a person who lives their life out loud, to try and inspire other people to do, do the hard things and give new things a chance, like, and that's a thing. And what I meant is, like, if you don't want to share this with the world, you don't have to put it, you don't have to announce it on Facebook.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, I think
same
in
as
our
anything.
line of work, in our line of work, because we love throwing ourselves out of our comfort zone and to see what happens, like that doesn't scare us as much anymore, so to be able to show up in a capacity for other people doesn't scare us. But if it does scare the shit out of you and you're like, there's no way I could like tell anyone I'm doing this, then don't.
That's right.
You don't know anybody.
Like, I'll say quite often on my posts too, that like my posts aren't generally for other people. They're more for me, because social media for me, I feel like is like a digital scrapbook kind of that I'll be able to have forever, hopefully, as long as they don't go away, and look back on, right? And like the Facebook memories and stuff is super cool because it brings up where you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And if you're on a super cool journey like I am of self-care and self-love, you can literally watch your growth happen and look back on it and be like, damn, like that day I wished I was here, and now look where I am.
Because you did the things that got you to be here, right? It's really fascinating. I agree. I love when the Facebook memories or the Instagram memories pop up, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I give that version of me 4 years ago massive compassion, and like, look at everything, because it gives you something to kind of gauge, right? But then at the same sense, like 12 years ago, Vanessa, there's a lot of cringeworthy shit I've had to delete off my Facebook, because I'm like, wow, that is not who I align with anymore. And it's okay, but it's really fascinating to see the growth of yourself as you start doing, your self-love journey in whatever capacity that is for you. It's definitely fascinating to be able to see that. So if you could think of the top 3 habits that you've created in your life. What are they and how have they changed the way that you live your life? Your top 3 habits now that have made significant impact in the way you live your life.
Probably going to be a little bit of duplication. So
Yeah.
fitness for sure, because that was like the catalyst that kind of changed everything. And obviously that changes the way I live my life because it changes my fitness level, my happiness level, like my hormones are happier, I sleep better, like everything just kind of stays in alignment. The next habit, I'm trying to think outside of training, I'd say the next habit would be like working on personal development or self-growth. So we're part of a really cool club called Achievement Club. And I think it probably deserves a lot of credit in my journey too, discovering Achievement Club and Transformation Weekend. And it also being part of the catalyst that helped me go forward. But I think it's really important to continually work on yourself, continually grow, continually like we as master trainers even continue to do the same work repeatedly. Like we do the same goal setting work each year. We do the same exercises. Yeah, there'll be a few new ones here and there as things grow and evolve, but it's the same work. And it's as you grow and as you evolve and as you age and as your relationships change and your journey changes and your financial status changes and your careers change and your kids grow, like everything changes every year. It's important at minimum every year to continue to reevaluate, to decide where you're headed, to course correct if you're off your path, to come up with new directional activities that are going to put you on that path. So I think that that's really important, whether it's a course or an event or anything, reading books, like whatever it is, whatever it looks like for you. You don't have to spend a ton of money or anything like that. But I think that personal development it should be right up there for everybody. Everybody should be trying to grow and improve and become their best self. I think that's definitely habit number 2. 3, I'm trying to think of something that doesn't relate to just fitness and stuff like that. Probably communication. I don't even know if you can really label that a habit, but yeah.
Oh, it's a total habit.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it
can be something that's hard.
It is hard. And not that I'm perfect at it, but with my spouse, especially, he might kill me for saying stuff like this, but whatever. I'll just speak from my own experience because that's all I can do.
And we love him, by the way.
Yes, definitely. 100%. He's going to be our number 1 reviewer for our podcast. I think it's important to recognize that we always bug each other back and forth, more him towards me, that like, I'm not psychic, right? Like,
yes,
nobody is.
Nope.
If you want something, you need to say it, and not in a passive aggressive, innuendo, unclear, please figure out this puzzle message sort of way.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I started the gym, one of my ways of communicating was my class is at 7:00 tonight. And I don't really care how hard your day was. You're going to be putting the kids to bed and dealing with them, and I'm leaving. Like it needs to be, you need to be able to not be afraid to ask for help. And I swear, and I promise you that when you get more clear about it and you aren't passive aggressive about it and expecting your partner to just figure things out because you think they should, it'll get easier, and you'll be surprised how often people will say yes, more than just your spouse. Like maybe it's asking family or friends or asking for a raise or looking for a new job, whatever. Like, don't be afraid to just say what you need in any given moment. And like, I shouldn't even say ask. Like sometimes you just need to just show up and say, this is what I'm getting. Like, right? Like, especially with like self-care and stuff, right? Like you don't always need to ask for permission. Sometimes you just need to say, this is what I need, and I need you to step up and do it. Like, so I think communication is huge. And like I said, I'm not perfect at it. Nobody will ever be perfect at it, but just use your voice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Use it at the capacity that you have right now, because it does become easier, right?
Yes.
As you start to work, it's a muscle.
Yep.
As you start to work that muscle, it does become easier. And that's just it, is if you have somebody that's safe within your life, that you can have open, vulnerable conversations with, or that you can tell them, what you need,
Yep.
just start. And
Yep.
and I know the very first conversation I had with, one of them that I've had with people in my life, is I've said outright, like, I'm feeling very vulnerable right now, so please just
Hold
give me
space.
some grace. Yeah,
Yeah.
hold space for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
And we
it's
should
hard.
probably add that communication can also mean things that you don't want or need in your life, right?
Boundaries.
Like boundaries.
Whoop, whoop. That's going to be a whole other
Boundaries can go
podcast.
for things that you don't want and for things that you do want or do need. So it goes both ways.
110%.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to do one more fun question, and then we'll leave you
Okay.
alone.
Okay.
You bared your heart. I love it. Okay, where did it go? Oh, there's two. Which one do I want to do? Let's do two. Okay. What is the best compliment you've ever received?
I knew you were going to come up with
I
that
know, I
one.
love this one. It's so good.
So I was trying to think about it. And I know I showed you the other day, I do save some here and there, some compliments from like friends, text messages, comments on posts and stuff like that. And I print them
too.
and I put them on my board over to the side here.
Yep.
And sometimes it's really fun just to read them back, like when you're doubting yourself. However, I'll tell you more of a funny one. And it always comes to mind when I think of this because it was so fucking random. So my kids used to go to this Montessori school just down the road. And every day, like they open the doors at a very specific time. So like everybody gets out and lines up, right? Like they don't just filter in and out.
Yep.
And I had just dropped my kids off, and I can 110% guarantee I was in my Lulus and going to the gym, because that's like my routine when my kids are in school and gyms are open, is drop the kids off and I go to the gym and I get my training done and then I pick them up and I'm set up for my day.
Yep.
And I'm walking back to the truck, just minding my own business. And this lady's behind me, kind of behind me, beside me. And she was like, God, I just love your thighs. And I was like, what? So I kind of turned and she's like, I swear, she's like, if I could drop my legs off and have you make them look like yours, she's like, I would pay like $1 billion for that. And I was just like shocked. And I'm just like, thank you. And I'm like, the funny thing is like, I have like tree trunks for legs. Like my legs are where my power is. And they're like super strong. They're super huge. I don't even care. They're also my favorite body part on me. So like to have somebody else, especially a stranger, like just out of nowhere, be like, I fucking love your legs. And I'm just like, it just, yeah, that was like 3 years ago. And it still just makes me freaking so happy to think about that moment. Like that was probably my favorite compliment, because it was like, she's a stranger. I don't know her name. I have no idea. I still to this day have no idea who she is. And it just, amazing. It was so cool to like, not only have somebody pick out my favorite body part, but just not know me and just not be afraid to be like, I love this about you. Yeah.
I love it. Sometimes it feels like it's divine timing.
Right?
I get that sometimes where I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, things totally things happen and you're like, that timing was really suspicious.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'd have to say my legs are probably the thing I've had most people, even somebody at Transformation Weekend said, what did she say? I know who it was, but I won't call her out. Oh, I think her ex or something used to do bodybuilding. And she was like, I know how much work it takes to get legs that look like that. And I was like, yeah, except it really doesn't take much work for me because my legs are just naturally freaking ridiculously strong. So humble brag there.
Still like, right? Oh, yeah. Total humble. We're all about humble brags around
That's
here.
Right.
100%. You have to.
Yes.
Okay, so last question. And I think it's kind of like perfect to like leave us off. If you could have a billboard of you with anything written on it or shown on it or whatever, what would it be? Like, what would that look like? If I'm driving down the road in like LA, so and all of a sudden I go past this billboard, what's it going to tell me?
One of my favorite CrossFit athletes is Tia Toomey, and there's this company in Ohio called Rogue, and they build like a lot of CrossFit gear. Like they're probably one of the biggest in the space, if not the biggest now. They have, I think it's on the side of a building. I don't think it's an actual, but it's still like a billboard, a picture of her from a few years ago at the CrossFit Games where she had just finished a lift and she's just like
Oh,
pumped, but like
guns out.
angry, but it's
Yeah.
like 15 stories tall. It is
Oh my God.
so freaking cool. So if I could have a billboard of me, it wouldn't need to say a fucking thing on it. It would be like that. It would be huge and it would be a picture of me lifting, like no question. She didn't have a barbell on her. It was after she was like celebrating,
Yeah.
but I would want it to be like just finishing a lift or mid lift or something like that. That hard work, gritty. Yeah.
That one picture that you sent me,
Yes.
that's black and white of you, like
That's a snatch
literally
one.
like
Yeah.
your face, you like intense, and
Yeah.
you've got that weight above. Oh my God. Every time I see it, it gives me chills. We're actually going to put it on our YouTube banner, our cover art, but yeah, you 15 stories big. I'm here for it.
Right?
Yes!
Wouldn't that be so cool? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Once I saw them unveil that, I was like, that's fucking, and like to have like a strong woman that's just like taking up space and like unapologetic about who she is. Like, fucking love it. I love her.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. I'll have to send you a picture of it.
Day,
it's cool.
Now that you've put it out into the universe.
Yes, let's do it, universe.
Right? All of our listeners one day are going to be like, I knew that when they first started her when we first started the podcast. I know her.
That's right.
110%. Oh my gosh. Well, Amanda, this was so fun.
Yes.
Oh, my heart is so full. Every time we talk, we could do this for hours.
Way too long.
Be out of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So good. Well, if you'd like to connect with us, friends, you can always find us on our social media handles. The links are below, but you can also get in touch with us if you have any other questions you'd like to know from Amanda herself. You can connect with us at selfloveuncensored@gmail.com. Below, like I said, you can find all of our links. You can find this conversation on YouTube if you want to sit and look at our beautiful faces. Otherwise, I think we're good. We're done.
I think
oh my
so.
God. Thank you, Amanda.
Leave a review, do all that fun stuff. Yes.
Please. We'll love you long time.
Share it with your friends.
Yes. And
we're still trying to figure out the outro stuff. Can you tell?
Yes.
like us, follow us, whatever you got to do, subscribe, download.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. I think that that's a really cool part about why we're doing this podcast as well is the fact that we don't know what we're doing. We are just showing up. We're figuring it out along the way and
flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now from my experience and looking, knowing Amanda and her experience is that this is the best way to start doing things is doing it when you don't know what the fuck you're doing and throwing yourself ways, right? Yeah. We jumped off the cliff and now we're learning to fly. So
that's right.
We appreciate that you're here with us, friends. And that's it. That's all. Let's wrap it up. I love you, Amanda.
See you next episode.
Yes. Episode 3.
Episode 3. We're going to talk to Vanessa.
So exciting. Have a wonderful day, friends. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye-bye.